Imagine for a moment that you're about to open a safe. Inside lies something that can completely change your financial life. It's not a lottery ticket, it's not a bag of gold, but rather a set of ideas and principles that, if applied with discipline, can transform your relationship with money. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'll take the essence of teachings found in renowned books and organize them in a simple, direct, and practical way so you can apply them to your life starting today. Before you begin with the teachings, make sure you've already pressed the like button. But only do this if you really want to attract wealth into your life. If possible, write it like this: I am ready to prosper. Now I want you to understand something very important. Wealth isn't just about how much you earn, but about how much you retain, how much you multiply, and how you think about money. This may seem obvious at first glance, but it's precisely where most people fail. Many work hard, earn reasonable salaries, but live in the same cycle of scarcity for decades. Why? Because they carry limiting beliefs and habits that sabotage their results. There will be moments in this content where I'll ask you to interact. For example, right now, write in the comments, or say out loud if you're alone, the following sentence: I am worthy of wealth. It may seem simple, even strange, but it helps begin reprogramming your mind. Words shape thoughts and thoughts shape actions. One of the main points of the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, is the difference between a mind programmed for wealth and a mind programmed for scarcity. People with a rich mindset see opportunities where others only see obstacles. They don't wait for the perfect moment to act. They create it. People with a scarcity mindset, on the other hand, get stuck in fear, doubt, and a search for guarantees. It's like standing at the edge of a pool waiting for the water to get warmer and never getting in. Another fundamental principle is understanding that you are solely responsible for your financial life. This means stopping blaming the government, the economy, your boss, or luck. As long as you believe your situation depends on external factors, you're relinquishing control. Rich people take full responsibility. This doesn't mean they ignore crises or problems, but rather that they always seek ways to act and find solutions. Now let's do a practical exercise. Grab a pen and paper, or open your phone's notepad, and write, My current money habits. Honestly list how you spend, how much you save, whether you invest, whether you have debt, and how you feel when you think about money. Don't worry if the list seems negative. The idea is to raise awareness, because you can't change what you can't see. One point that consistently surfaces in all these books is the internal financial pattern. It's like an invisible thermostat that unconsciously regulates how much you believe you can earn and maintain. Some people, even when earning a lot, always end up returning to a similar level of money. This is why we see cases of athletes and artists who make millions and years later are broke. Without changing the internal pattern, any increase in income will be temporary. This pattern is shaped primarily by three factors: childhood mental models, what you heard, saw, and experienced about money in your family; significant experiences, traumas, losses, or achievements that associated strong emotions with money; social and cultural influences, what the society around you believes is right or wrong about wealth. Here's an impactful task. Close your eyes for a few seconds and recall 3 phrases about money that you heard as a child. They might be things like, money doesn't buy happiness, rich people don't go to heaven, or you have to work hard to make a living. Now ask yourself, are these phrases helping or hindering my financial life today? Another powerful lesson is about assuming the role of an investor in your own life. This doesn't just mean investing in stocks or real estate, but also investing in knowledge, skills, and relationships. Rich people take the time to learn how money works. They understand compound interest, asset appreciation, and know how to differentiate between expenses and investments. People with a poor mindset, on the other hand, avoid talking about money, finding the subject boring, and end up letting others make decisions for them. If you want to change your financial life, one of the first steps is to create a continuing education plan about finance. Decide that every week you'll read something on the topic, watch an educational video, or talk to someone who knows more than you. Information is the fuel for change, but having information isn't enough. You have to act. What good is knowing that spending more than you earn is harmful if you continue doing so every month, or knowing that investing early is important but never getting started? This is another strength: discipline. Often, the difference between those who get rich and those who don't is not intelligence but consistency of action. To start applying today, I suggest you set 3 simple financial goals. Reduce an unnecessary expense. Start saving a fixed percentage of your income. Invest this amount in something that generates a return, even if it is small at first. And to reinforce this, now say out loud, I decide to take control of my financial life starting today. Say it firmly, as if you were signing a contract with yourself. This was just the introduction to our journey. In the next installments, we'll dive deeper into each of these principles, showing you step by step how to transform your mindset, create new sources of income, get out of debt, and build solid wealth. Now tell me in the comments, what is the first memory you have related to money? In the first part, we discussed the importance of changing your mindset, taking responsibility, and taking the first steps to organize your financial life. Now let's move on to an essential point. Your mental model of wealth needs to be nurtured daily. It's not enough to watch a motivational video or read a book and expect everything to change overnight. It's like going to the gym. A single workout doesn't bring permanent results. It's consistency that shapes the body. The same goes for your mind and your wallet. One of the most powerful things I learned from studying books like Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich is that money responds to those who know how to take care of it. Think of money as a demanding house guest. If you treat it badly, it leaves. If you treat it well, it wants to stay and even bring more friends. This means knowing where it goes, watching every penny, and making strategic decisions. A fundamental habit of wealthy people is to be absolutely clear about their numbers. This may seem obvious, but most people don't know exactly how much they earn, how much they spend, and how much is left or missing at the end of the month. And if you don't know where you are, how will you get where you want to be? So here's the first practical step in this section. Open your bank app or get your statement and analyze your transactions from the last 30 days. Classify each expense as necessary or superfluous. Be honest and prepare for surprises. Another powerful practice is setting an intentional budget. Most people spend and then see if they have anything left over to save. Rich people do the opposite. They first decide how much to invest and save, and only then allocate what's left to expenses. This is called paying yourself first. It's a simple concept, but incredibly transformative. Imagine you earn $3,000 a month. If you decide to automatically invest 10%, that amount will be set aside before you even touch the rest. Over time, this discipline builds a solid wealth. And since we're talking about discipline, I need to emphasize, don't confuse restriction with planning. Planning your finances doesn't mean living a miserable life, cutting out everything you enjoy. It's simply about prioritizing. For example, if you love traveling, you can include that in your planning as long as you manage your money wisely. Here comes another lesson from wealth books. Positive cash flow is king. There's no point in earning a lot if what goes out is equal to or greater than what comes in. And no, increasing your income won't solve everything if you don't change your habits. That's because the natural tendency is to increase your standard of living along with your income, the so-called negative snowball effect. You need to break this cycle. Now I want you to participate. Write in the comments, or say out loud if you're alone, the phrase, I take care of my money and it takes care of me. It may seem simple, but repetition creates a new connection in your mind. Speaking of the mind, we need to address a silent enemy. Comparison. Many people destroy their financial lives trying to maintain a certain level of consumption to impress others. Expensive cars, clothes, cell phones, often purchased with money that doesn't exist, simply to create an image. Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad make it clear. The rich buy assets, while the poor buy liabilities, believing they are assets. To clarify, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. A property rented to someone else is an asset. A car financed with high installments and expensive maintenance is a liability. It's that simple. So every time you think about buying something, ask yourself, will this put money in or take money out of my pocket? Another point that's rarely discussed but is essential is surrounding yourself with people who have the right mindset. It's hard to grow financially if everyone around you has habits that drag you down. If you want to learn how to invest, hang out with people who already invest. If you want to start a business, talk to entrepreneurs. This creates a mirroring effect. You start acting like the people you admire. Speaking of investing, we can't leave it for later. You need to learn about it. No matter your age, income, or current situation, the sooner you understand how to make your money work for you, the better. Books like Think and Grow Rich show that the real secret isn't just working hard, but making money work hard for you. This means learning about passive income, compound interest, diversification, and business opportunities. To conclude this section, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 7 days, write down absolutely every single cash inflow and outflow, from a coffee to paying a large bill. At the end of the week, look at this list and identify 3 expenses that could be cut or reduced. This exercise alone can free up resources for investing or paying off debt. And remember, every small step you take today will determine where you will be in a year, 5 years, or 10 years. You don't have to change everything at once, but you do need to start now. Now tell me in the comments, what was the most unnecessary expense you made last month? Now is the time to dive deeper and more practically into how to apply the principles that truly build wealth in your daily life. So far, we've understood that changing your mindset and taking full responsibility for your financial life is essential, but that's not enough. You need to turn good ideas into concrete habits and create a system that works even on days when motivation is low. Building wealth doesn't just depend on willpower. It also organizes your financial life so that the right decisions come naturally. The first step is to see your real situation with complete clarity. This means analyzing all your income and outgoings over the past 30 days. By doing so, you'll understand where your money is going and where it's slipping away without generating a return. Many people believe they spend little on unnecessary things, but when they put everything down on paper, they discover that a large portion of their income goes to impulse purchases, avoidable fees, interest, or forgotten subscriptions. Based on this diagnosis, you can decide where to cut and where to invest. One of the keys to breaking out of the cycle of scarcity is adopting the practice of paying yourself first. This is one of the most powerful ideas in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and other great money books. Instead of spending and saving what's left, you set a fixed percentage to invest and set it aside as soon as income comes in. This amount can start small, like 10%, but it needs to be automatic and non-negotiable. Over time, this habit creates a cumulative effect that completely changes your financial foundation. The initial amount matters less than consistency. To maintain control, it's essential that each reel has a defined purpose. Dividing your money into pots is an efficient way to ensure this. Part goes to essential needs, another to financial freedom, another to medium and long-term goals, a portion to education, another to leisure, and a small percentage to donations or important causes. When money has a defined purpose, decisions become easier, and the risk of waste decreases drastically. Before considering investing, it's essential to build an emergency fund. It acts as a shield against debt, preventing unexpected events from turning into crises. This fund should cover 3 to 6 months of essential expenses and should be kept in a safe, easily accessible location without the risk of loss upon withdrawal. The goal here isn't to seek high returns, but to ensure security and peace of mind. Expensive debt is one of the biggest enemies of financial freedom and needs to be tackled strategically. There are 2 main approaches to paying it off: the avalanche method, which prioritizes debts with the highest interest rates, and the snowball method, which starts with the smallest ones to build motivation. Whichever method you choose, it's crucial to stick to your route and avoid taking on new debt along the way. Another habit that protects against waste is the 72-hour rule. Whenever you feel the urge to make a non-essential purchase, wait 3 days before deciding. This time frame reduces the influence of impulse and, more often than not, makes you realize you didn't need it. The money you don't spend can be redirected to investments or to speed up debt repayment. Controlling cash flow is the foundation for achieving freedom. It's important to ensure that income always exceeds expenditure, and this can be achieved by both cutting unnecessary expenses and increasing income sources. Cutting costs doesn't mean living poorly, but rather eliminating wasteful activities like high bank fees, unused services, unplanned purchases, and expensive habits that don't yield returns. Increasing income can mean creating small side hustles, selling idle items, offering one-off services, or utilizing existing skills to generate value and profit. Before buying anything, it's important to ask a simple question: will this put money in my pocket or take it out? This reflection, advocated by Robert Kiyosaki, helps separate assets from liabilities. Assets generate income or increase in value. Liabilities require spending and reduce equity. This awareness completely changes the way you approach consumption. Investing doesn't have to be complicated, but it does require discipline and clarity. It's important to start small, automatically, understand where you're investing, and diversify to reduce risk. There's no magic formula for getting rich quick, there's just consistency and patience. Keeping an organized record of your finances is another key point. Creating a wealth notebook, whether physical or digital, allows you to record goals, strategies, decisions, and lessons learned over time. This record maintains focus, helps correct mistakes, and prevents good ideas from falling through the cracks. To put all this into practice, you can start today with a simple challenge. Schedule an automatic investment, cut 3 unnecessary expenses, find a way to generate extra income, and record all your expenses for 30 days. This set of actions may seem small, but it creates a solid foundation for bigger changes. Repeat out loud now. I pay myself first, give every dollar a purpose, and invest in my future. If this sentence resonated with you, write in the comments, I choose to multiply my resources, not waste them. Now that we understand the importance of organizing your money, building a reserve, investing consistently, and avoiding waste, it's time to talk about something that's crucial to changing anyone's financial situation: increasing your income-generating capacity. Saving and investing are essential, but there's a limit to how much you can cut. However, income, when managed well, has no fixed limit. This is where we come to the growth mindset, skill development, and the pursuit of opportunities that multiply your income. Many people spend their entire lives believing that a salary is the only legitimate way to earn money. This is the result of a mental model inherited from traditional education and often reinforced by families. Working, receiving a salary at the end of the month, and living on what's left is the pattern most people follow. But all wealth books make it clear that relying on a single source of income is risky. If it fails, the entire system collapses. This is why financially successful people create multiple sources of income, some active and some passive, and structure their lives so that the money keeps coming in even while they sleep. The first step to increasing your income is to take stock of your existing skills. Think about the things you know how to do well, even if they seem simple. It could be cooking, repairing, organizing, selling, teaching, creating content, editing videos, writing, crafting, caring for animals, or even helping others with everyday tasks. All of these skills can be turned into paid services as long as they're presented professionally. Often what you consider common is precisely what someone else needs and doesn't know how to do. Once you've identified these skills, it's time to think about how to offer them. We live in an era where the internet has expanded the reach of any business. Sales platforms, social media, and even messaging groups allow you to advertise services with no upfront cost. Creating a clear profile with photos, objective descriptions, and defined prices is enough to get started. The key is consistency: posting, talking to acquaintances, offering to past clients, and asking for referrals. The more people know what you do, the more likely you are to close deals. But it's not enough to simply offer what you already know. You need to seek new skills that increase your market value. Investing in education is one of the surest ways to multiply your income. In-person or online courses, reading books, and participating in events are gateways to learning skills that can be monetized. The market values problem solvers, and the more complex the problems you can solve, the higher your potential pay. Another important point is learning to see opportunities in what already exists. Often it's not necessary to invent something new, but rather to improve what's already offered. A simple, faster delivery, more attentive service, or a more attractively presented product can make a service stand out among so many others. People who thrive understand that small adjustments can yield big results. When we talk about creating new sources of income, it's not just about working more hours, but about working more strategically. Extra income can come from one-off work that, over time, turns into a business. It can come from something you already do for yourself and offer to others. It can arise from partnerships, where each party contributes their best. The important thing is to start small, test, and adjust until you find the format that works. And here comes the key that separates those who manage to increase their income from those who stagnate: discipline to reinvest part of that income. Many people manage to generate more money, but spend it all in the same month, remaining at the same level as before. The get-rich-quick mentality demands that, with each increase in income, part of it goes directly to investments or to accelerate financial goals. This is how sustainable growth is built. Another strategy is to use some of your free time to create assets that will generate future income. This could be writing a book, recording a course, creating a channel with useful content, developing a digital product, setting up an online store, or even investing in a small brick-and-mortar business. These initiatives require initial effort, but can generate returns for years. It's the famous work once, get paid many. Of course, not every idea will work the first time. It's normal to try and fail. What you can't do is give up after the first failed attempt. Persistence combined with smart adjustments greatly increases your chances of success. Whenever something doesn't work, ask yourself, was the problem with the product, the way it was offered, the price, or the target audience? With this analysis, it's easier to correct and try again. We can't forget the power of networking. Many opportunities arise through people we meet. Participating in events, study groups, associations, and communities related to your area of interest expands your connections and, consequently, your business opportunities. And networking isn't just about asking for help. It's also about offering help and sharing knowledge. Genuine relationships build trust, and trust opens doors. To put all this into practice, choose a skill you already have today that can be transformed into a service or product. To write down what it is, how much you can charge, where you can promote it, and the first steps to take. If you want to reinforce your commitment, say out loud, I choose to increase my income and create new opportunities. And, if possible, write in the comments what the first action you'll take to make this happen will be. The path to wealth isn't just about saving and cutting expenses, but also about multiplying your income. The more sources of income you have, the more financially secure you'll be, and the faster you'll achieve your goals. This is one of the big differences between those who live limited and those who build freedom. Now that we've discussed how to create new sources of income, it's time to address a topic that often separates those who merely dream of wealth from those who actually achieve it. How money is managed once it starts to grow. Earning more is important, but it's pointless if the increase in income is accompanied by an equal or greater increase in expenses. This is the famous balloon effect, where a person's life improves only in appearance but remains financially vulnerable. The first trap we need to avoid is increasing our standard of living at the same rate as our income. It's natural to want to improve our home, upgrade our car, travel more, and visit better places. This, in itself, isn't a problem. The danger lies in doing all of this without maintaining a healthy balance between expenses, investments, and savings. People who accumulate wealth understand that each rent increase is an opportunity to accelerate goals, not an invitation to spend it all. The secret is to establish a personal rule before the extra money even arrives. For example, decide that 50% of any income increase will go directly to investments or to accelerate debt repayment, and the other 50% can be used to improve your quality of life. This way, you enjoy the present without compromising the future. This simple strategy, repeated over the years, creates a much faster financial growth effect. Another key point is understanding that as income grows, so do responsibilities and opportunities. This requires more careful planning and often professional help. Accountants, financial advisors, and planners can help you better organize your money and optimize your investments, especially as your assets begin to diversify. Although it's a cost, this type of service often pays off by avoiding mistakes and taking better advantage of opportunities. Smart money management also involves knowing where your money is being invested. Investing isn't enough. You need to monitor and review it regularly. What makes sense today may not make sense in a few years. Therefore, it's important to have periodic reviews to adjust your strategy according to changes in the economy, your needs, and your goals. A common mistake is to believe that increasing a business's revenue or salary at work is enough to guarantee peace of mind. Without control, any income can be consumed by unnecessary expenses or poorly planned investments. Therefore, creating the habit of reviewing your monthly and annual budget is essential. This practice helps identify expenses that have lost their meaning, contracts that can be renegotiated, and investments that can be reallocated to generate a higher return. Another issue that deserves attention is creating reserves for future projects. When money starts to become surplus, the temptation is to invest it only in high-yield investments. But it's important to remember that some goals require liquidity, that is, quick access to the invested amount. A trip, home renovations, or even purchasing a property require cash to be available at the right time. Mixing long-term investments with short-term needs is a mistake that can lead to losses. The balance between risk and security also becomes more important. With more money available, it's natural to seek out more profitable investments, but this is where many people get lost. Investing in investments without understanding how they work or assessing the risks can undo years of effort. It's better to have a slightly lower return with security than to chase quick gains that can turn into big losses. Furthermore, it's crucial to maintain a mindset of constant learning. The more your income grows, the more necessary it is to understand finance, investments, and business. Books, courses, mentoring, and conversations with experienced people are investments that multiply the return on each decision. Wealthy people dedicate time to studying how money works because they know that knowledge is one of the most valuable assets there is. Maintaining humility is also key. Increasing income can create a false sense of financial invincibility, leading to impulsive decisions and risky investments. The discipline that took you to a new level needs to be maintained and strengthened, as it ensures that the progress isn't temporary. To apply what we've discussed today, reflect. If your income increased by 30% next month, how would you manage that extra money? Write down a detailed plan, defining how much would go to investments, how much would be used to pay off debts, and how much would be left for present enjoyment. The clearer your plan is before the money arrives, the easier it will be to stick to. Now repeat out loud, I manage my money wisely so that it works for me. Write in the comments, I grow my income and keep my expenses under control. Now let's talk about a point that many overlook, but which is crucial to creating stability and continuous growth: how you protect what you build. It's not enough to simply earn more and invest wisely. You need to protect your assets against unexpected losses. This part is about financial security, risk prevention, and preserving what you've spent time and effort building. A common mistake is to focus solely on accumulating wealth, forgetting that unforeseen events can happen. Health problems, accidents, economic crises, changes in the job market, or even third-party mistakes can directly affect your finances. Those who consistently build wealth know that it's necessary to prepare for these scenarios before they happen. This isn't pessimism, it's strategy. The first level of protection begins with your emergency fund. We've already discussed it, but here we'll emphasize the importance of keeping it untouched for truly urgent uses. This fund should be in a safe place, with quick access and no risk of loss. It's not money for speculation, it's money for protection. When something gets out of control, this amount prevents you from having to resort to expensive loans or sell investments at the worst possible time. The second level of protection is ensuring that you and your family are covered in the event of serious situations. This includes adequate insurance, such as life insurance, homeowners insurance, auto insurance, and, most importantly, a good health plan. It may seem like an additional expense, but in practice it's one of the most effective ways to avoid massive losses. A single unexpected event can drain years of savings without coverage. Another key point is legal protection. Depending on your professional activity or the size of your assets, it's recommended to separate personal assets from those related to work or business. This separation helps prevent problems in one area from affecting all others. Consulting a specialized lawyer can be a small investment compared to the amount of security it provides. Diversification is also part of this protection. Never put all your money into a single investment, business, or property. Diversification doesn't just mean spreading it across multiple locations, but rather choosing options with different risk levels and time frames. This reduces the impact of a potential loss and increases the overall stability of your assets. Another preventative measure is to keep financial documents and records organized. Contracts, investment receipts, bank statements, insurance policies, and property documents should be stored securely and easily accessible. Having everything in order not only makes it easier to manage, but also speeds up troubleshooting if you need to file an insurance claim or verify your rights. It's also important to take care of your financial reputation. This means paying bills on time, avoiding defaults, maintaining a good credit history, and not taking on commitments beyond your means. A good reputation opens doors to cheaper financing, business partnerships, and opportunities that often don't come to those with a shaky financial history. Additionally, be aware of the risk of scams and fraud. Increasing wealth attracts not only opportunities, but also attempts to take advantage. This includes investments with unrealistic returns, shady contracts, and malicious actors. Always investigate before investing your money or signing any documents. A rule of thumb is, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Protecting what you build isn't just a financial issue, it's also an emotional one. Knowing you have a security plan in place gives you peace of mind to take intelligent risks in new opportunities without fear that an unforeseen event will destroy everything. Those who prepare can act with more confidence and make strategic decisions, while those who improvise are always vulnerable. To put this into practice, conduct a complete review of your financial protection today. Check that your emergency fund is adequately funded, your insurance policies are up to date, and your investments are well allocated. Also, consider whether there are any documents that need to be organized and whether there are any risks that have not yet been prevented. Say it out loud now. I protect what I achieve to secure my future. Write in the comments, financial security is part of my wealth strategy. The time has come to talk about something that, for many people, is a game changer in wealth building: the power of daily habits. It's not what you do once in a while that determines your financial results, but what you repeat every day almost automatically. It's this repetition, often invisible, that builds or destroys wealth over time. Most people believe that becoming rich is linked to major events: closing a multi-million-dollar deal, receiving an inheritance, winning the lottery, or creating a successful company. In reality, wealth building comes from small, consistent actions repeated over years, not from isolated events. It's like building one brick at a time until a solid structure is built. The first habit you need to incorporate into your routine is tracking and recording your expenses. You don't need to spend hours a day with complex spreadsheets, but you do need to write down everything that comes out of your pocket. This practice builds awareness and makes you think twice before spending. When you see your money going away in small amounts, you realize how much it adds up at the end of the month. Another fundamental habit is setting aside time to study finance and business. It may be just 20 minutes a day, but this time accumulated over a year equates to over 120 hours of learning. Reading books, watching educational videos, listening to podcasts, or taking courses keeps your mind fresh and ready to identify opportunities. Wealthy people dedicate part of their day to learning because they know that knowledge is an investment with a guaranteed return. A third powerful habit is saving before spending. As soon as income comes in, the first step is to set aside a portion for investments and savings. This isn't something you do when you can, but an absolute priority. When this becomes a habit, financial growth becomes inevitable as your money begins to work for you constantly. It's also important to develop the habit of weekly financial planning. This means defining in advance what will be paid, how much will be invested, and which purchases are truly necessary. Without this planning, it's easy to get carried away by promotions, impulses, and external pressures. The habit of planning prevents waste and keeps you focused on long-term goals. Another essential point is to cultivate the habit of calmly evaluating opportunities. It's not about being too slow to act, but about not getting carried away by excitement. Many financial losses occur because decisions are made in the heat of the moment. Developing the habit of analyzing the pros and cons, seeking information, and talking to people you trust before acting greatly increases your chances of success. There's also a habit of talking about money without fear or shame. Many avoid discussing finances with friends, family, or partners because they find the topic embarrassing. But those who build wealth know that talking about money is as natural as talking about health or work. Exchanging ideas, asking for advice, and sharing lessons learned creates an environment for growth and helps avoid mistakes. Beyond financial habits, there are personal habits that directly impact how you manage money. Taking care of your physical and mental health, maintaining a proper sleep routine, avoiding excesses, and maintaining daily discipline increase energy and mental clarity. And this extra energy translates into better decision-making, including financial decisions. It's important to remember that a habit isn't built overnight. Studies show that it takes weeks or months for the brain to transform a repeated action into something automatic. So, start with small changes. If you don't save anything today, start with 5%. If you don't track expenses, write down only the largest ones. Consistency is more important than speed. To put this into practice, choose 3 financial habits to adopt immediately. This could include recording all your expenses, setting aside money for investments as soon as you receive it, dedicating 15 minutes a day to studying your finances or reviewing your accounts weekly. Write down these habits and keep track of them daily to ensure you're sticking to them. Now repeat out loud, "My habits build my wealth." Write in the comments, "I choose habits that strengthen my financial life." Now let's delve into one of the most powerful and at the same time, most overlooked elements for those who want to get rich: the power of long-term planning. Most people only think about the next month, the next bill, or the next opportunity. Few look at the next 5, 10, or 20 years with clarity and strategy, and it's precisely this broad vision that differentiates those who are constantly chasing money from those who make it work for them. When we talk about long-term planning, we're not just referring to saving money for retirement. It's about being clear about where you want to go and building a route to get there. It's like a map. Without one, you can walk a long way, but you'll hardly reach your destination. Those who have a clear plan save energy, avoid detours, and speed up results. The first step is to define specific goals. "I want to have more money" isn't a goal. "I want to accumulate 500,000 Rs invested in 10 years" is. The difference lies in clarity, measurement, and time frame. The more specific the goal, the easier it will be to create actions to achieve it. This applies to any area: buying a property, starting a business, paying off all debts, or living off income. Once the goal is clear, it's time to break down the big target into smaller, more achievable goals. If the goal is to accumulate $500,000 in 10 years, for example, divide the amount by the number of months. This will show you how much you need to invest monthly and allow you to adjust your strategy as your income and investment potential increase. Another essential aspect of long-term planning is considering different scenarios. It's easy to create a plan when everything is going well, but the reality is that unforeseen events happen. A job loss, an economic crisis, or even a change in personal priorities can alter your path. Therefore, a good plan isn't rigid. It has alternatives and room for adjustment. Maintaining discipline over many years is one of the biggest challenges. It's easy to get carried away in the first few months and then lose focus. Therefore, it's essential to create monitoring mechanisms. This could be a spreadsheet, an app, a notebook, or even regular meetings with a trusted mentor or partner. The important thing is to have regular reviews to check progress and make adjustments. Another important aspect is aligning long-term planning with your lifestyle. There's no point in creating a plan so restrictive that it becomes impossible to follow. The path needs to be sustainable, allowing you to enjoy life in the present while building for the future. This balance prevents frustration and increases the chances of maintaining discipline over time. Long-term planning also requires patience. Significant results don't appear overnight. The first few months may seem slow, but over time, the cumulative effect begins to show. It's like planting a tree. At first, you barely see any growth, but with constant care, it grows stronger and begins to bear fruit for many years. A powerful tip is to constantly visualize your goals. Place images, phrases, or numbers that represent your goals in places where you can see them every day. This keeps you focused and reminds you why you're making certain efforts. Motivation may fluctuate, but when your goal is always visible, it's easier to stay committed. Finally, it's important to celebrate each milestone achieved. This reinforces the feeling of progress and maintains motivation. Don't wait until the big goal to celebrate. Appreciate each intermediate goal achieved, each month in which you managed to invest as planned, each debt paid off. These small victories build the confidence needed to keep going. To put this into practice, set a long-term financial goal today. Be specific, include a deadline and a target amount. Then, break it down into smaller goals and create a system to track your progress. If you want to reinforce your commitment, say out loud, "My financial future is under my control, and I follow my plan with discipline." And in the comments, write what goal you'll pursue in the coming years. Now let's address one of the most decisive factors in building and maintaining wealth: the environment you live in and the people you associate with. While it may seem like your financial life is purely individual, the truth is that we are strongly influenced by our social circles and the context we live in. The ideas, conversations, and behaviors you see and hear every day shape your beliefs, your decisions, and consequently, your results. Many people underestimate this impact. It's common to believe that discipline and willpower are enough to ignore external influences, but the reality is that we constantly absorb habits, opinions, and patterns without even realizing it. If most people around you are always complaining about lack of money, being in debt, or spending more than they earn, there's a good chance you'll end up replicating, albeit unconsciously, this same behavior. Similarly, when you spend time with people who talk about investments, business opportunities, and smart ways to manage resources, your thinking begins to change. This effect doesn't happen immediately, but over time, your mindset adapts to the environment, and your actions begin to align with this new pattern. This is why get-rich-quick books emphasize the importance of choosing your circle of influence wisely. This doesn't mean abandoning friends or family who don't share your financial goals, but rather balancing the time and energy you dedicate to each relationship. Ideally, seek out groups, communities, or even courses and events where you can interact with people who are already on the path you want to follow. This interaction accelerates learning and maintains focus because you begin to see in your daily life concrete examples that it's possible to achieve better results. The physical environment also plays an important role. Working, studying, or planning in organized, distraction-free spaces increases mental clarity and helps maintain discipline. A desk cluttered with overdue bills, messy papers, and objects that remind anyone of problems can be discouraging. A clean space with visible goal notes and materials that inspire progress reinforces a sense of control and motivation. Another point is the influence of the content you consume. The social media, movies, series, and even TV shows you watch shape your mindset about money, success, and lifestyle. If you spend hours watching content that encourages impulsive spending, expensive trips, or ostentation without showing the work and discipline behind it, you're likely to end up creating unrealistic expectations and feeling dissatisfied with your reality. Exchanging some of this time for educational, inspiring content that demonstrates concrete strategies for financial growth is a simple way to change your mindset. A practical strategy is to create an information diet, filtering what you allow into your mind. Consciously choose to follow people, channels, and sources that truly provide knowledge and motivation. This doesn't mean living solely on studies, but rather balancing fun and learning so that your financial progress remains a priority. The work environment also has a direct impact. Surrounding yourself with colleagues who value growth, learning, and results helps maintain motivation. Conversely, environments where complaining, procrastination, and a lack of commitment prevail tend to drag everyone down. Whenever possible, seek to interact with those who encourage and support your development. The most interesting thing is that by changing your own behavior, you also begin to positively influence those around you. Often, without realizing it, you become a role model for friends, family, and colleagues. This effect is powerful, as it creates a cycle where everyone inspires each other and grows together. To put this into practice, analyze your current environment. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? What types of conversations predominate in these relationships? What does your physical space say about you and your goals? What type of content do you consume daily? With these answers, define small changes you can make now to bring your environment closer to the life you want to build. Say out loud now, I choose to surround myself with people and environments that empower my growth. And write in the comments, my environment drives me towards wealth. Now let's talk about a theme that's present in practically every classic book on wealth, but that many people still don't fully understand: the power of making money work for you. Working to earn money is just the first step. True financial growth happens when money starts generating more money, creating a continuous cycle of multiplication. This concept is the foundation of smart investing, passive income, and financial independence. When you trade your time for money, like in a traditional job, there's a clear limit to how much you can earn. After all, there are 24 hours in a day, and you can't work non-stop. But when you invest and create assets, your money keeps working even when you're sleeping. This is how wealthy people manage to maintain and grow their wealth without relying solely on their own physical or mental effort. To put this into practice, you first need to understand the concept of assets and liabilities. Assets are anything that puts money in your pocket. It could be an investment, a rental property, a business, royalties, stock dividends, and more. Liabilities, on the other hand, take money out of your pocket. Expensive financing, items that require constant maintenance, and purchases that generate more expense than return. The logic is simple. The more assets you accumulate, the closer you'll be to financial freedom. Investing is the most direct way to put this principle into practice. There's no single investment approach that works for everyone, but there are rules that apply to everyone. The first is to start as early as possible, even with small amounts. The second is to understand what you're investing in before you commit your money. The third is to diversify to reduce risk. These three attitudes combined create a solid foundation for growth. One of the most powerful mechanisms that benefits early investors is compound interest. This is when money earns a return on the amount invested, plus any previous profits. This creates a positive snowball effect, where wealth grows faster and faster over the years. The earlier you start, the greater the impact of this effect will be in the future. Beyond traditional investments, there are several ways to generate passive income. This could be a low-intervention business, a digital product that continues to sell after it's finished, a content channel that generates advertising, royalties from a book or song, property rentals, and much more. The important thing is that these sources of income don't depend entirely on your daily presence to continue operating. Of course, creating passive income isn't something that happens overnight. It requires initial effort, planning, and often an investment of time and money. But the big difference is that once structured, it continues to generate results for a long time, without requiring the same level of constant work. This frees up time so you can focus on creating new opportunities while also enjoying life more. Another important point is reinvesting part of your profits. When you simply spend everything you earn on investments or passive income, growth slows. But when you reinvest, the multiplication effect intensifies. It's like planting new seeds with each harvest. With each cycle, the field becomes more productive. Patience is also essential. Many people give up because they want immediate results and end up falling for promises of getting rich quick. This kind of shortcut almost always leads to losses. Building solid assets and consistent passive income is a gradual process. Consistency and discipline over time are what truly produce lasting results. To put this idea into practice, make a list of assets you already own and another of assets you want to create in the coming years. Then, define the steps you can take now to move forward. This could include researching a type of investment, setting aside some money to get started, creating a product, offering a scalable service, or seeking strategic partnerships. Now repeat out loud, "My money works for me every day." And write in the comments, "I invest and multiply my wealth." In this section, we'll discuss something directly linked to long-term financial success: emotional control over money. While finances may seem like a purely logical matter, the decisions we make regarding money are for the most part emotional. Fear, anxiety, euphoria, pride, insecurity, and even guilt directly influence how we manage our resources. Understanding and mastering this aspect is essential for anyone who wants to build wealth in a stable and consistent manner. The first point is to understand that money, in and of itself, is neither good nor bad. It's just a tool, and what defines its impact on someone's life is how it's used. Many people have negative beliefs inherited from childhood, such as money is dirty, wealth drives people away, money only comes with a lot of suffering. These ideas shape lifelong choices and often create an unconscious block to earning and accumulating more. Therefore, it's essential to identify these beliefs and replace them with healthier, more productive thoughts, such as, "Money is a resource for creating freedom and helping others," or "The more I grow financially, the more positive impact I can generate." Another emotional factor is fear. Fear of investing, fear of losing, fear of taking risks, and even fear of winning. Yes, fear of winning exists. Many people unconsciously sabotage their own chances of success because they feel they don't deserve more than they already have. This fear, when left unchecked, keeps people in a limited cycle, preventing them from exploring new opportunities. The only way to reduce this fear is to increase knowledge and practice. The more you understand about something, the less threatening it seems. It's also important to be wary of euphoria, which is just as dangerous as fear. Financial euphoria often occurs when a decision or investment pays off quickly, leading to overconfidence. In this state, it's common to take unnecessary risks, ignore warning signs, and act impulsively. Major losses often arise from decisions made in moments of extreme excitement. Staying calm and sticking to your plan, even when everything seems to be going well, is a sign of financial maturity. Comparing yourself to others is another enemy of emotional control. Today, with social media, it's easy to only see the positive side of someone else's life and feel like you're falling behind. This leads to rash decisions, like shopping to impress or investing without research, just to stay in the loop. This is a dangerous trap because it focuses on what others are doing and distracts you from your own plan. The only progress that truly matters is your own, towards your goals and conditions. It's also important to learn how to deal with inevitable losses. No investor, entrepreneur, or professional is immune to mistakes or unforeseen events. The difference between those who build wealth and those who sink lies in how they react. Those who have emotional control understand that losses are part of the process, analyze what went wrong, adjust their strategy, and keep moving forward. Those who lack this control often give up or make even worse decisions in an attempt to quickly recover what they lost. A powerful technique for developing emotional control is to create your own rules for financial decisions and always follow them, regardless of your emotional state. It can be something simple, like never investing in something you don't understand, never spending more than a certain percentage of your income on leisure, or always waiting 72 hours before making non-essential purchases. These rules act as anchors that prevent impulsive decisions. Emotional control is also linked to gratitude and celebrating small victories. When you recognize progress, even if you're still far from your ultimate goal, you maintain motivation and reinforce positive behaviors. Gratitude reduces anxiety about having more at any cost and helps maintain a healthy pace of growth. To put this into practice, start by observing how you feel about money on a daily basis. Write down situations where you made decisions on impulse out of fear or out of excitement. Then, think about what rules you can create to protect yourself from these situations. And above all, always keep in mind that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Repeat out loud now, I control my emotions and make clear financial decisions. And write in the comments, my mind is my greatest ally in creating wealth. Now let's talk about a fundamental element that is often overlooked by those who want to build wealth, the strategic use of time. While money can be lost and recovered, time is a limited, non-renewable resource that once spent never returns. How you organize and use your time is directly linked to your ability to generate, multiply, and maintain wealth. Many people have the illusion of being busy, but in reality they spend much of their day engaged in activities that don't generate real returns. It's common to confuse movement with progress. Doing a lot of things doesn't mean moving toward your goals, especially if those tasks aren't related to what you truly want to achieve. Those who consistently build wealth understand that time is a valuable asset and use it with intention and focus. The first necessary change is to identify where your time is currently going. Just as you perform a financial assessment to understand how money is spent, you need to perform a time assessment. For a week, record all your daily activities, from work hours to time spent on social media, conversations, commuting, and leisure. Finally, analyze what was truly productive and what simply consumed energy without generating results. Once you're clear, it's time to apply the principle of prioritization. Instead of trying to do everything, focus on the tasks that have the greatest impact on your financial and personal life. This means giving more time and attention to activities that generate income, build assets, increase knowledge, and strengthen strategic relationships. Often, eliminating or reducing time spent on low-value tasks frees up enough energy to accelerate progress. Another important point is to set aside periods of the day for what we call deep work, times when you fully focus on an important task, without interruptions, to generate maximum quality and results. It's during this focused time that ideas, solutions, and breakthroughs emerge that can multiply your gains. At the same time, it's essential to avoid excessive multitasking, which fragments attention and reduces efficiency. Knowing how to say no is an indispensable skill in time management. Many opportunities, invitations, and activities that arise along the way may be interesting, but they aren't aligned with your priority goals. Accepting everything out of fear of missing out or to please others leads to distraction and fatigue without real progress. By protecting your time, you also protect your energy and focus. Smart time management also includes delegation. Many daily tasks can be handled by others, freeing you up to focus on what really matters. This applies to business as well as personal life. Sometimes paying someone to perform a task can be more beneficial than wasting hours that could be used to create value or rest to recharge. Another essential aspect is planning. Starting the day knowing exactly what needs to be done avoids waste and impulsive decisions. Planning the week in advance, defining the most important tasks and distributing them evenly increases productivity and reduces stress. People who plan their time regularly can accomplish more, with less effort and less rushing. It's worth remembering that time shouldn't be used solely for work and income generation. It's important to set aside time for leisure, rest, healthcare, and spending time with important people. This balance is essential to maintain motivation and avoid burnout. When the body and mind are in good condition, productivity and clarity in financial decisions increase significantly. To put this into practice, choose 3 high-impact actions you can take in the next 7 days to improve your financial life. Set aside specific times to do them and eliminate distractions during those times. At the end of the week, evaluate the results and adjust as necessary. Repeating this process will transform the way you use each hour of your day. Now repeat out loud, "My time is valuable, and I use it to build the future I want." And write in the comments, "I invest my time as intelligently as I invest my money." It's time to discuss a point that's often overlooked, but has a direct impact on how quickly you build wealth: the importance of making quick, informed decisions. In the financial world, slow decisions can be costly, but acting without thinking can also be a huge risk. Finding the balance between agility and analysis is one of the most valuable skills for those who want to thrive. Many people miss opportunities because they spend too much time thinking, researching, or waiting for the perfect moment. That moment almost never arrives, and the opportunity ends up going to someone who had the courage to act. On the other hand, there are those who get carried away by impulse and dive headfirst into something without understanding the risks, which often results in losses. The key is to have clear criteria for decision-making, so that the choice is quick, but based on relevant information. To achieve this, it's important to create personal filters. These filters act as rules you apply before committing to any financial decision. For example, "I only invest in something I can explain in a few words," or "I never buy anything expensive without comparing at least 3 options." These rules simplify the process, reduce the risk of regret, and prevent emotions from overriding logic. Another point is learning to recognize signs of opportunity. Financially successful people develop the ability to identify patterns and recognize when a situation can yield positive results. This doesn't mean predicting the future, but rather being aware of trends, market shifts, and movements that indicate growth or decline in value. This trained eye comes from experience and the habit of monitoring what's happening in the business and investment world. Making quick decisions doesn't mean doing everything alone. Often, talking to someone more experienced can provide valuable insights. Having a trusted circle of people who understand finance, investments, or entrepreneurship speeds up the process, as you can validate ideas and receive alerts about risks you might not have otherwise noticed. It's also crucial to know when to give up. Persistence is essential for achieving goals, but blind stubbornness can destroy years of progress. If, after careful consideration, you realize a decision was a bad one, it's better to cut your losses early than to persist, hoping something unlikely will happen. In the financial market and in business, recognizing and correcting mistakes quickly is a sign of maturity. Training for quick decisions starts with simple things. It could be choosing what to buy at the supermarket faster, deciding on small purchases without delay, or acting quickly when a discount appears on something you were already planning to buy. These practices build confidence and mental agility, which will be useful for larger decisions. However, speed without preparation is dangerous. Therefore, study and practice are essential. The more knowledge you have about finance, investments, and the market, the faster you'll be able to identify good opportunities and avoid pitfalls. Those who know what they're doing don't need weeks to decide, as they already have the foundation to evaluate risks and benefits. Being clear about your financial goals is a big help. When you know exactly where you want to go, it's easier to decide whether something will contribute to your progress or simply waste time and money. Without this direction, every decision becomes a dilemma, and you risk wasting too much energy on things that don't matter. To put this into practice, think about the last 3 financial decisions you made. How long did it take you to decide? Did you regret it later? What could have been done differently? This type of analysis builds awareness and prepares you to act better in future opportunities. Now repeat out loud. I make quick, conscious decisions that are aligned with my goals. And write in the comments, my decisions accelerate my financial growth. Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked in conversations about prosperity, the value of delivering more than expected. This is one of the most powerful principles for creating opportunities, increasing income, and building a solid reputation in the market. But few people apply it consistently. Most simply deliver what's agreed upon, and that, in today's competitive world, isn't enough to stand out. When you commit to doing more than the basics, you create a positive effect that goes far beyond the immediate result. Delivering something with superior quality, greater attention to detail, or an extra personal touch generates satisfaction in the client, employer, or business partner. And satisfaction generates trust. Trust in turn opens doors to new work, referrals, and even better negotiation conditions. This principle applies to any field. If you're an employee, delivering more value means meeting deadlines ahead of schedule, finding solutions to problems without being asked, contributing ideas that improve team performance, and maintaining a professional demeanor, even in difficult situations. If you're an entrepreneur, delivering more can mean offering outstanding service, adding something extra to your product or service, or resolving customer issues quickly and efficiently. The impact of this approach is multiplied. A satisfied person tends to speak highly of you to others, generating free and highly effective publicity. Over time, this reputation creates a kind of shield against crises, because even if unforeseen events arise, people trust your commitment and know you deliver results. Of course, delivering more doesn't mean working twice as hard all the time without any reward. It takes intelligence to manage your efforts. The idea is to strategically add value so that this extra effort is recognized and eventually rewarded. Often, the reward comes in the form of bigger opportunities, invitations to more profitable projects, and even raises or bonuses. A key point is that delivering more isn't just about what you do, but also how you do it. The quality of your work and how you interact with others matter a lot. Serving someone patiently, answering questions clearly, and demonstrating genuine interest in their success are attitudes that create strong and lasting bonds. This behavior also affects how you see yourself. When you commit to excellence, your self-esteem and confidence increase. This is reflected in the way you negotiate, how you present your services, and even in the opportunities you perceive in the market. It's as if, by raising the standard of what you offer, you also raise the standard of what you accept for yourself. It's important to emphasize that delivering more than expected doesn't mean accepting exploitation. There's a clear difference between strategically adding value and letting others exploit your dedication. The key is balance, positively surprising and creating a difference, but knowing how to charge for the value generated. To apply this from now on, think of an area of your life where you can raise the bar on what you offer. It could be in your work, your business, a personal project, or even in your relationships with clients and partners. Ask yourself, what can I do to give this person more value than they expected? Then put this idea into practice and observe the response. Now repeat out loud, I deliver value above expectations and create opportunities for my prosperity. And write in the comments, my standard is to offer more than what is asked of me. In this section, we'll delve into a topic often overlooked by those seeking wealth: the power of consistency. It's common to see people starting a project, an investment, or a new habit with great enthusiasm, only to give up after a few weeks or months. The problem is that in the financial world, the most significant results rarely come from isolated actions. They are the result of daily discipline and intelligent repetition over the years. Consistency is what turns small actions into big results. Think about someone who invests a modest amount every month. At first, it may not seem like it's making much of a difference, but over time compound interest kicks in and growth accelerates. It's like pushing a snowball up a mountain. At first it's small and requires effort, but as it rolls, it gains volume and speed on its own. The same goes for savings habits, income generation, and personal development. Reading about finance for a few minutes a day may not seem like much, but by the end of a year, You'll have accumulated enough knowledge to make smarter decisions. Reducing small expenses each month may not change your life today, but over time it frees up resources for larger investments. The challenge is that consistency requires patience, and patience is rare in a world where everything seems to happen so quickly. Many people abandon their plans because they don't see immediate results, forgetting that financial growth is like planting. First you tend the soil, then plant, water, and wait, until finally you harvest. Those who want to harvest without going through the previous steps end up frustrated. Another point is that consistency doesn't mean absolute rigidity. It's possible to make adjustments along the way, as long as you don't lose your core habit. For example, if you've decided to invest 15% of your income every month, you can adjust the amount in times of need, but don't stop investing completely. This commitment to action is what ensures continued progress. Consistency also builds reputation. In the business world, clients and partners value those who meet deadlines, maintain quality, and don't give up along the way. This trust opens doors to new contracts, referrals, and collaborations. Consistency becomes a benchmark because people know they can count on it. To maintain consistency, it's important to create systems that make it easier to stick to your habits. Automating investments, setting calendar reminders, setting fixed times for important activities, and tracking progress are ways to ensure you continue your actions even when motivation wanes. The truth is, on many days you won't be feeling motivated, and it's precisely on those days that discipline makes all the difference. It's also essential to celebrate small achievements along the way. This reinforces the sense of progress and helps maintain motivation. Each month of sticking to the plan is a victory that brings you closer to your ultimate goal, and, over time, this streak of victories builds confidence and reinforces the habit. To put it into practice, choose a financial or professional habit that you know you can maintain for the next 12 months. This could be investing a fixed percentage of your income, studying finances for 15 minutes a day, or creating a weekly piece of content about your business. The important thing is that it's something viable and sustainable so it can become a routine. Now repeat out loud, "I am consistent, and my discipline builds my wealth." And write in the comments, "My progress is the result of my constancy." If you've followed everything this far, you've already realized that wealth isn't a stroke of luck, a lottery win, or a secret trick held by a privileged few. Wealth is a consequence. It's a direct result of how you think, decide, and act every day. What we've seen throughout these sections is that money isn't just numbers in your account. It's a reflection of your mindset, your habits, the environment you choose, how you manage your time, the decisions you make, and how you react to opportunities and challenges. And most importantly, all of this can be learned and developed. If you ever believed your financial situation was determined solely by luck or external circumstances, I hope you now understand that you have much more control than you imagined. You don't control the economy, crises, or other people's decisions, but you do control what you do with what you have today, and that's what builds what you'll have tomorrow. Wealth begins in the mind. This isn't empty motivational talk, it's pure logic. Before it exists in your bank account, it needs to exist in your thoughts and daily decisions. That's why from the beginning, we've talked about the importance of identifying and replacing limiting beliefs, creating consistent habits, learning to invest, protecting your assets, and expanding your income-generating capacity. It's not about living for money, but about putting money in the right place, as a tool to provide freedom, security, and possibilities. Freedom to choose where and how to live, security to face unforeseen events without despair, and the ability to seize opportunities without fear of risk. Now, the next step is entirely up to you. It's not enough to have read or heard these words. You need to apply them. Take at least one of the ideas presented here and put it into practice today. Start small if necessary, but start. Action is what turns theory into results. Throughout this content, you may have identified some mistakes you make, or noticed areas of your financial life that need more attention. Use this as fuel, not as a reason for discouragement. Everyone starts somewhere, and the important thing is to keep moving forward. And remember, discipline is the silent secret to great results. It's not what you do for a week that changes your life. It's what you do for years. Small steps, repeated consistently, create huge transformations. In closing, I want you to repeat out loud with conviction: I have control over my money. I create opportunities. I am responsible for my financial success. I choose wealth. And now, write in the comments: I end this journey committed to my financial freedom. This may be the end of the content, but it's the beginning of a new phase in your life. The knowledge is yours. So is the power to act. The choice is yours. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the like button. If you want to listen to more audiobooks like this, click on the playlist that appears on your screen. See you there.